Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Wednesday, June the 5th. We got another pretty big slate today, 12 games on the main slate. Pretty deep pitching slate as well. We got on DraftKings 5 options over 10K. Then you got some other good options like Peacock, Carrasco, Turnbull. So a pretty deep pitching slate again today. Definitely want to hit on these stud options. We'll start there and then we'll work our way down through the player pool. Talk about all the pitchers that I'm going to be targeting today. We'll look at some hitters I like, specifically 3 hitters for DraftKings and Yahoo. Then we'll turn it over to stacks. We'll look at some stacks I'll be going to today. Then we'll talk about some BVP plays at the end of the video. Just before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. So starting off at pitcher today, Charlie Morton is our most expensive option on DraftKings. He's $11,600, gets a matchup against the Tigers. On Yahoo, Charlie Morton's actually relatively cheaper than some of the top guys. He's actually $55 over here. Chris Sale is the most expensive option on Yahoo. He is $62. So I think pricing is going to play a big role today on who I go with as my SP1. On DraftKings, I really like Chris Sale when you compare his price to some of the other guys. Like, he's $1,000 cheaper than Morton. He's $700 cheaper than Paxton. He's cheaper than Mike Minor. He's only $300 more than Herman Marquez. I really like going to Chris Sale on DraftKings. I think his price tag is a little bit too cheap than some of these other top guys. I think he should be one of the higher priced pitchers, especially in this matchup with the Royals. This is a Royals team that does strike out versus lefties. It's a really bad lineup as well. Once you get past like Merrifield and Mondesi, maybe Jorge Soler, it's a pretty easy lineup, especially the 6 through 9, like the bottom of the order. Sale can just have a ton of success against, could rack up some strikeouts when he gets to the bottom of the lineup. Also a low total for the Royals, 3.5 implied run total. The Royal Stadium's a pretty favorable pitcher's park as well. Sale's a heavy favorite, just has a lot of things going for him. And on DraftKings, I think he is the best SP1 option when you factor in his price tag compared to some of the other guys. But if we actually go over to Yahoo, Chris Sale is $62, and the next most expensive guy is Paxton and Morton. Both of them are $55. I think my favorite play on Yahoo is actually James Paxton at $55, since he's so much cheaper than Sale. I do like Paxton a lot today on DraftKings as well. It's just that Sale's cheaper, and I think Sale's a better option for cheaper. But Paxton has a ton of upside here against his former team, the Blue Jays. This is a Blue Jays team that will strike out versus lefties. Paxton has been dominant this year, especially as of late. We look at the Blue Jays total, 3.6 implied run total for them. Pretty low total on this slate. Paxton's first start off the IL, first start back from injury, he went 4 innings, 7 Ks, 2 walks, didn't allow a hit against the Padres, had 24 fantasy points in just 4 innings through 66 pitches. I'd expect he probably gets back to his full amount of pitches, like 85, 90, might even be able to get to 100 if he's pitching really well. I don't see him having any restrictions here. So I like going to James Paxton as an SP1 on Yahoo. But on DraftKings, I think Chris Sale is the guy that I want to go to the most. And then for an SP2, I really like going to Yu Darvish at 7,100. I think he has a lot of upside here against the Rockies outside of Coors Field. Also think Yu Darvish is a pretty good play on Yahoo. He's at $37, makes for a pretty good option that you can pair with James Paxton. Give you $13 remaining per player, so you have the salary to work with. But looking at Darvish's matchup against this Rockies team, this is a Rockies team that does struggle outside of Coors Field. It is a Rockies team that will strike out as well. You can get some Ks in this lineup. Once you get past the top 4, top 5, there aren't a ton of Ks, but like Ian Desmond will strike out versus righties. Ryan McMahon will strike out. Tony Walters is not a good hitter, and he will K, and then you have the pitcher in there as well. Winds blowing in at 12 miles per hour. Pretty favorable pitching weather, 65 degrees. Like we saw on Tuesday's slate, the Cubs game had a pretty high total. It was like 10, 15 mile per hour winds blowing out to center, and it was like 75 degrees. That was more favorable for hitters. Now it's more favorable for pitchers today with the temperatures that we have and with the wind blowing in. I think Darvish is a risky play, but he gives you so much upside. This is a guy that can go out there and get double-digit strikeouts pretty much anytime he steps on the mound. Against the Reds, he went 5 1/3 with 11 strikeouts, 27 fantasy points, or 27 DraftKings points, 8 Ks in 6 innings against the D-backs, 27 DK points, 8 Ks in 5 innings against the Marlins. Darvish is definitely wild. He's going to walk guys. He's going to run up his pitch count, but he just gives you so much K upside at this price tag that I think he makes for a great option to pair with your expensive SP1. And if on DraftKings you play Sale and Darvish together, you're still left with over 4K remaining per player, which should easily be able to work around today. But we'll talk about some of the other pitchers I like real quick before we move on to hitters. So going back to the top guys, I'm really just going to be focused on Morton, Sale, and Paxton. I think I would rank them Sale number 1 on DraftKings, Paxton number 2, Morton number 3. On Yahoo, I would go Paxton number 1, Sale number 2, and then Morton number 3. I don't see myself really getting a ton of Marquez or Mike Minor today. Those are just guys that aren't priced to where I want to pay their salaries when I could just get Sale or Paxton or Morton for a little bit more. So at the top, I'm going to be focused on the top 3 guys. But looking at some of these value plays, some of these mid-tier plays, depending on if Jimmy Nelson is going to be limited today, I have a pretty good feeling he's going to be on a pitch count because he hasn't pitched in like a while. I think it's been like a year since he pitched. 21 months since Jimmy Nelson's actually threw a major league pitch. So I imagine he's going to be limited. If he's not, then he's a great play here against the Marlins. Very bad Marlins lineup that strikes out a lot. But like I said, I think Nelson's probably going to be on a pitch count, so I don't know if we're going to really be able to go there. But obviously I like Darvish as a cheaper play. I think Jason Vargas against the Giants is definitely in consideration. I feel like Darvish gives you a lot more upside, so I would much rather play Darvish. But Vargas at 7,200 is a guy that I will be looking to as a cheaper option. Tyler Beede against the Mets, I don't think it's the worst play. He's very cheap, 6,400. Very bad Mets lineup as well that he's going to be able to go against. Dakota Hudson against the Reds in Cardinal Stadium, a more favorable pitcher's park. Don't mind going there as a cheaper option that you could look to. Even maybe a guy like Daniel Megden against the Angels, not the worst play. It is an Angels team that doesn't strike out much, but Megden's pretty decent this year. If we look at the game log as a cheaper play, he gives you 15, 20-point upside, 20-point potential. Like he faced the Angels in his last start. Wasn't great, wasn't efficient. Through 4 1/3, he threw 87 pitches, but he did get 6 Ks, allowed 1 run. He's not the worst cheap play, 6,900. Kind of the same can be said for a guy like maybe Kevin Gausman against the Pirates, another guy you could look to. But I expect a lot of my pitcher ownership for SP2 is going to go to Darvish, probably Vargas, maybe Dakota Hudson as well. Those are the guys I like the most. But let's go ahead and talk about some hitters now. So we'll start off at first base. I think the Yankees are in a really good spot here against Trent Thornton. Really like Kendrys Morales as a value play. He's dirt cheap on both sides. He's only $2,800 on DraftKings and on Yahoo. He's minimum salary $7. I think he's a great value play on both sides. Should be batting 5th or 6th here against Trent Thornton against the righty. Morales is much better versus righties. He's a switch hitter. He can hit from both sides of the plate, but you do prefer him versus righties. Trent Thornton, I believe this year has been allowing like 2 home runs per 9. Been giving up a lot of power to lefties. And although this Yankees lineup doesn't have a ton of lefties in it, the righties are not easy outs like DJ LeMahieu, Luke Voigt, Gary Sanchez, Gleyber Torres. I think the righties are great plays as well. But the lefties do give you some home run potential, specifically Kendrys Morales. Aaron Hicks is another guy that I really like as well. Hicks is very cheap on both sides. He's only 4K on DraftKings. And if we go over to Yahoo, I like his price over here as well. He's just $12. I think he makes a lot of sense on Yahoo as well. So like I said, Trent Thornton giving up a lot of power to lefties, specifically Hicks and Morales, the 2 lefties I want to target from this Yankees lineup. But in my Yankee stacks, I'm going to have exposure to the righties, LeMahieu, Voigt, Sanchez, Torres, Clint Frazier. I really like those guys as well. Don't think I'm going to be going to Urshela or Gardner, but the 1 through 7 I will definitely have exposure to today against Trent Thornton. I think this is a spot where the Yankees can put up some runs. There aren't a ton of high totals on this slate. Like I think there's like 3 or 4 teams with an implied run total over 5, like Rangers at 5.5, Red Sox at 5.1, the Astros at 5, and then you have the Yankees at 5. So those are like the only teams with a 5 total or higher. So I think the Yankees are probably going to come in a bit lower owned compared to teams like the Rangers and maybe the Red Sox because their total is not high as those teams. So I think the Yankees, one of my favorite stacks today. I really like them here versus Trent Thornton. Then another team I really like is the Red Sox. I think Mookie Betts is a great play here at 4,800 versus Jake Jonas. On Yahoo, he's pretty expensive. He's $22, but I still think he's worth that price tag as well. Jake Jonas is a guy that gives up a ton of home runs to both sides of the plate, gives up more home runs to lefties than he does to righties, but the righties in this lineup are so tough to get out, like Mookie, JD, Xander Bogaerts, even Michael Chavez. These righties have a ton of power, so I think they make for a great stack today. The Red Sox do as well. And you can obviously target other guys on the team besides Mookie Betts, like Benintendi, JD, Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, obviously guys you could look to. But like Mookie's price really stands out at 4,800. Benintendi's price at 4,600. JD's price at 4,800. Those top three guys really stand out. Like you have Devers at 5,300, then Bogaerts is 5,600. Those guys seem a bit more expensive than I would like to pay, especially when I can get Mookie and JD for cheaper. So I really like going to some of those top three guys from the Red Sox. They have a ton of upside here versus Jake Jonas. This is a guy that gives up a lot of home runs to both sides of the plate. It's going to be pretty hot here in KC, 87 degrees. Even though it's a favorable pitcher's park, you still have pretty decent hitting weather since it's going to be hot and humid. So love these Red Sox bats as well today. But that's it for my 5 plays for DraftKings and for Yahoo. Let's go ahead and talk about some stacks now before we end the video. We'll look at BVP as well. But I really like the Yankees and the Red Sox. Those are my 2 favorite teams today. My 2 teams I expect to be the highest on. I'm definitely going to have exposure to this Orioles-Rangers game, more on the Rangers side. I don't think I'm going to be targeting a ton of Orioles bats versus Mike Minor because Mike Minor has actually been really good this year. Maybe some one-offs like Alberto or Trey Mancini or Nunez. Maybe like that 3-man stack, but I don't think I'm going to be full stacking the Orioles. But I'll definitely have some full stacks of the Rangers here versus John Means. The Rangers don't have a ton of righties that I really like to roster. Like a lot of their lineup is left-handed heavy. But Andrus, Pence is expensive, but he's been great this year, surprisingly. Logan Forsythe, Cabrera, those are guys you could target. I don't think the lefties are terrible plays, but I do prefer to roster righties versus John Means. But other than those 3 teams, there aren't a ton of other teams that really catch my eye. I think my stack ownership is going to be pretty concentrated today on some of the teams I've talked about. Like there aren't a ton of high totals today. Brewers 5.5 implied run total versus Sandy Alcantara. Definitely want to take note of that. The Brewers are very expensive though. Like they have 4 hitters over 5K. Christian Yelich is 6K. I guess Kane's nicely priced. Braun's nicely priced. But there's a ton of expensive bats in that Brewers lineup. They're going to be very hard to stack. So for that reason, I don't think I'm going to include them in my core stacks, but I'll probably have them as mini stacks to go along with like my 4-man, 5-man Yankees, Red Sox, whatever. But let's go ahead and talk about some BVP now before we end the video. Starting off at the top and working our way down, we got about 10 BVP plays. I'll cover them real quickly. Jose Ramirez gone 3 for 10 with the home run off Martin Perez. Carlos Santana 7 for 11 with the home run. Eddie Rosario 8 for 27 with the home run off Carrasco. Jorge Polanco 8 for 18. Nelson Cruz 9 for 25 with 3 home runs. Buster Posey 5 for 13 with the home run off of Jason Vargas. Paul Goldschmidt 8 for 15 with the home run off DeSclafani. Marcelo Ozuna 5 for 17 with the home run, and Matt Carpenter 11 for 24 with 3 home runs. He's really hit DeSclafani well. Then lastly, Kyle Seager gone 10 for 29 with 2 home runs off of Brad Peacock. So those are all the BVP plays I got for today, guys. I think that is it for the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button down below. I would really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight. Peace.